Hello, everybody. My name is Rich, and that is Brian. Welcome to another episode of League One on the Rocks.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
I didn't get to do the usual entrance. Let me do this then. Joined as always by the man across from me is the man who knows Victoria's secret.
It's true.
There
It's
we
true.
go. Now I got the intro in.
Perfect. Yeah, and the secret is that their child could not hack it in USL League One. That is the secret, in case anybody was wondering.
Man, I didn't even have to bait it out of you. You
No,
just you would be the worst spy.
don't worry about that. We're not going to talk about it.
Well, what are you drinking tonight?
Tonight I'm starting off with some Irish Death.
Yes.
Got it from Allison and you from I got it from you from Allison at the tailgate last week. So giving it a nice try and review tonight.
Ooh, I'm so excited to get your review on it. I'm diving back into the ciders. I'm almost out of them, so I need to replenish my stock on some booze very soon. I don't have to work tomorrow, but so I thought about going hard tonight. Um, and for some reason, just sipping on scotch tonight just didn't seem to, you know, appeal to me. I wanted to like chug some beer. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I get that. I have those days.
And tonight is a big, busy night of podcasting across the League One landscape. We have Walking 90 doing a live show. I think what they're recording right now, I believe,
I believe so. Yeah.
talking about the promotion relegation news that was just released a couple of days ago.
Hmm.
Um, and I think several of the club podcasts released their latest episode within the past day or two as well. So,
They did.
man, a lot to catch up to tomorrow. Good thing I don't have to work.
Yep. I'll definitely have all of these podcasts. I got a nice solid day, 8 hours probably worth of podcasts to listen to tomorrow. So it's gonna be a good day.
He just sits in a room all by himself and has every single one of them playing at the same time and just
Uh huh.
soaks it all in.
Yeah. It's just like learning through osmosis.
Exactly.
I find that that's the easiest way.
Yep.
I mean, who has time to actually listen and take opinions and listen to all of them? I do.
No
I
kidding.
actually do.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, yeah, I mean, no kidding. That who has time for that? By the way, listen to a bunch of our opinions for the next hour and a half.
Hmm.
We apologize. We did not have a show last night like we usually do. So the Union Omaha team talk was last night. So I decided to go to that, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of
Yeah.
fun. There
Yeah.
was Marco was there, Luca was there, Pedro was there, Peter was there. So it was a good
It's
night.
always a good night. I'm sad I missed it, and honestly, seems like you guys had a better time than I did. I was at home and I watched the U.S. men's national C team
Ugh.
get beat by Panama in penalties.
C team looking like the H team.
Yeah, it
It was
was not
bad.
great. Not great.
While the guys were answering questions, they had the match on a TV behind them,
Oh man.
and man, I kept having to like trying to focus on them instead of the TV because obviously what was on the TV was not worth watching.
No, it really wasn't. U.S. got completely outclassed and manhandled by a good Panama team.
Yeah, yep. But another good thing that came out of last night was I got to drink Guinness for the first time in quite a while, and oh,
Oof,
I do love Guinness.
it's
Oh,
great.
it was hit the spot last night, man. Loved it.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking of Guinness, I got to give the review on the Irish Death, and
Yes,
it is fantastic.
yes.
It's nice dark, but it's not too dark. It's nice and light for a dark beer. Plus, it is 7.8 alcohol by volume as well. So again, one of my favorite cans in the entire spectrum, but that's
Isn't that
also
cool?
right up my wheelhouse. And I would show you what on my desk. I also do have a bunch of
Yeah.
a skull candle that just kind of sits there for decoration too. So love skulls.
Oh, you don't light that up?
I don't know, only because I don't have anything underneath it. And
Oh, okay.
I would also forget and burn my house down. So I'm not going to do that. I think it's one of
All
those
right.
ones though. There's some red in it, so I think it's one where once it gets to a certain point, it looks like it's bleeding. I might actually have to do it.
Is there like flesh underneath it where it like the skull melts away and it starts to like show like brains and stuff like that?
I think so. It kind of looks that way.
Really? Oh,
I'll,
that's cool.
I'll have to light it, and then I'll give you guys a status report next week.
So we just finished July 4th and I'm super excited for Halloween already.
Oh, it's a
Um,
great holiday.
yeah, I think that's the next major holiday that's coming up too. I mean, you have like Labor Day and stuff like that, but like major holiday.
Hmm.
I think that's the next one that comes up.
I believe so. Yeah.
I will say today when I went into the break room, I kid you not, I saw a Christmas commercial on. I
Oh
kid you
no,
not. Yeah,
way too early.
I wanted to scream.
And in my opinion, if I had my way, we would not have any Christmas things until after Thanksgiving. The day
Oh,
after
of course.
Thanksgiving is fine, but
Yeah,
not how it is now. Too early.
we're really pissing Connor off right now.
Yeah, I think Connor and Geo are both in that same
Yeah.
loving Christmas at all times of the year.
Ugh.
Um, I mean, it is Christmas in July, I suppose.
So I haven't been watching any of the Hallmark movies. They probably have those playing 24/7 right now.
I I couldn't tell you. I stay far away from Hallmark.
I agree. Yeah, me too. I know somebody who loves those movies, and she will sit there and watch them all day and be perfectly content the entire time. And I don't understand it. But
I
if
mean,
she's happy, then good for her.
I suppose it's kind of like us sitting and watching League One matches all day. It's in the same vein. I mean, my wife definitely doesn't understand it, so I can only imagine any women that aren't fans of the league looking at us
Yeah,
staring at a screen for 8 hours and breaking stuff down, writing stuff down. Like, what are you guys even doing?
yeah. Well, that was a perfect segue. Let's jump into the Week 17 action.
Getting better, Adam. Getting better.
Yeah, great work, Brian. Love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we had two teams that played twice this week. We had Northern Colorado and we had Charlotte. And lo and behold, they actually faced off last Tuesday, July 4th.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm going to throw that cheesy joke in there. There were plenty of fireworks on this one. Yeah. That was so stupid. But trust me, I have a worse one coming later on tonight. You just wait. Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
So we got past round one. Let's just put that behind us and move on.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of fans at um, Northern Colorado's new stadium there, but they do they have growing attendance while they're at that stadium though?
Um, yeah, so this also was an instance where they did have another delay. It's kind of unfortunate. This year has just been really bad for overall just teams having to play at later times than they probably would have liked to. Um, but yeah, right now their average is 892. So I assume with taking out that delay that they had, it was a pretty lengthy one if I remember correctly. So they probably would have had that the amount of fans they should have. But what are you gonna do? Weather is tricky, especially over there in Colorado.
Yeah. So with that said, Charlotte got off to the early lead. By the 22nd minute, they were already up 2-0.
Mhm.
And Northern Colorado would have to claw back 2 goals shortly before halftime. So they went into the half 2-2, and Northern Colorado would eventually
Mhm.
win the match 3-2 thanks to two goals from Trevor Ammon. He had a PK in the 43rd minute, and then He had another assist from Arthur Rogers.
Yeah.
That is one that I need to take a look at to see. I was hoping to get this done before tonight's episode. Didn't get it done, so I apologize. But I'll take a look into it to see which duo has like the deadliest combo in League One. Because I feel like Rogers to Ammon is definitely up there.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean it. I think that's a really safe pick or safe bet. With especially with how good Northern Colorado's been playing the past, what is it, 10 matches now unbeaten.
Mhm.
So I mean, just crazy. And this match in particular, sitting down and watching it, in the first like 30 minutes or so, it looked like Charlotte was going to run away with it. It looked like they were doing whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted, and Northern Colorado just couldn't figure out in the first 30 minutes how to slow down their attack. And I mean, it looked like the Charlotte team that we saw in the first, what, 3 or 4 weeks of the season, just looking like world beaters. Um,
The one that blew out Union Omaha 3-0 at home.
yeah, and it looked insane. But Northern Colorado also figured out how to attack them and figured out that, I mean, we can really move the ball through them, um, and really exploit them on taking free kicks quickly.
Mhm.
Um, that was a big thing for Northern Colorado. Charlotte was just unable to slow them down and get back when the ball stopped. So credit to Eamon Zayed for completely making a plan and the team executing it perfectly.
And was this the one that? Oh, I can't remember. Oh, I can't remember. I think this one. I think the one that I'm thinking of was their second match. So I'm going to hold off on saying that comment.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was. This one was a good one. Highly contested. Two teams at the top of the table going head to head. Um, I mean, it's one of those that you love to see. And what did I do over here? I had an entire document that was just deleted. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, good. Um, but I mean, if you look at their season series, they've only played once. I thought they'd played more than that. For some reason, I thought that this was like their second match, but this is only the first one.
Yeah.
So they do have one more match against each other here in the month of July. They play in Charlotte in week 20. And then at the very end of, well, not the very end, but towards the end of the season in week 25, they come back to Northern Colorado,
Mhm. Yeah.
which is going to be a real treat for fans because as the season's winding down, those two going head to head again.
Crunch time.
Yeah.
So, Rich, I got to ask you this question. How good is Northern Colorado?
Okay. Here's a little bit of a hot take, but hear me out.
Hmm.
I'll start off by saying I have no doubt that Northern Colorado is a good team. I will also say watching Northern Colorado, they have a very specific style of play. They are very good at playing that. Uh, and that style depends on a lot of 1v1 challenges. Very direct play, long balls, um, not a ton of passing, and a lot of 1v1 challenges, like I said.
Hmm.
Because they have the players that can carry that workload, they're finding that success. If these players were trying to play a system that maybe North Carolina was playing, or maybe Madison is playing, they might actually have pretty good success with Madison's system. But if they were trying to play North Carolina's or Richmond or Greenville, even,
Hmm.
I don't think that they would be as successful. So Eamon Zayed has installed a system that works, and he has found the players that fit the mold of that system, and they're succeeding.
Mhm.
Uh, a lot of the time, coaches will try to bring in the best players. Bringing in the best players doesn't always guarantee you're going to have the best chemistry. Ayman Zayed has found the players that have been able to find the best chemistry, and that's how they're excelling.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. And just a follow up question now too. How much of their current success, and I mean this, you pretty much already touched on this, but how much of the current success is being able to learn from the mistakes that they made last season?
I don't know if they're
I
doing a
just
lot to learn from last season's mistakes.
I feel like the beginning of the season they looked decent enough. I mean, obviously going on the Open Cup run that they did and beating um, Real Salt Lake in the Open Cup, and then eventually losing to Union Omaha. It it is you could tell that there were pieces there, but their regular season form in League One didn't translate that Open Cup success until the second and latter half of the season.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, do you think that they continued that hot streak from the end of last season, or do you think it's more of they are focused and better equipped to deal with the league as a whole season long this time, as opposed to they were in their first year?
I feel like they ended the season with a lot of confidence and momentum in the locker room. So by bringing back some of those veteran players, they felt encouraged. They felt that hunger to get the season started as soon as possible because they had that taste in their mouth that they were that close to making the playoffs, making a huge impact in their first season in league, and to bring in the pieces that they did in the off season only helped them get better.
Mhm.
And um, and then you have the rallying point with those the off the field issues, and the team has melded very very well this season. So um, I don't know necessarily that it's anything about mistakes. I think it's just carrying that momentum, having confidence in the system, and having faith and belief in each other, and they certainly have that.
Yeah, I would say that's completely fair. And I mean that just goes to show what a good job um, Eamon's done out there as head
Mhm.
coach. I mean that I don't want to say the turnaround because we saw what they were capable of at the end of last season, but the
Yeah.
fact that they went from missing out on the playoffs last season to being, in my opinion, at least a legitimate title contender this year, at least this far into the season,
Mhm.
while still having games in hand right
Yeah.
now, just shows that I mean this team got coached up and they're playing really well right now.
And now that they're settling in, they're at their new stadium. Future Legends, is that what it is?
Future legends, yep.
Yeah. Okay. I want to make sure I got that right. Now that they're settling in at that new stadium, uh, I mean, they haven't lost a home match yet this season. They have 4 wins and 1 draw. So I mean, they hosted this one. They host this weekend, so it's certainly going to be a tough match for Union Omaha. But I mean, yeah, they're certainly fun to watch. And on the flip side, do you kind of feel like Charlotte is starting to fade?
Yeah, I do. I mean, if we kind of look at them right now, let me pull up their current run of form. I know it's not terrific. So yeah, in their last five, they have three losses, one win, and one draw. So this is more of the Charlotte team that I expected at the beginning of the season, and why I wasn't very high on them at the beginning of the season. They just didn't seem like a team that could go an entire season and play at a high enough level to be in that top one or two spot. don't think they're necessarily pretenders isn't the correct word to use because they're still a really good team. Um, but I mean, if their current run of form continues, they have a real chance of missing the playoffs because the teams underneath them are all in form.
Yeah.
Minus the bottom of the table, which we'll get to later. But yeah, all those potential playoff teams underneath them are starting to round into form. If you look, Richmond is directly underneath them. They're the lone outlier in this, but Greenville is on a 3-win streak, 2 draws.
Oh, we are.
Omaha's on a 3-win streak, 2 draws. Knoxville's on a 3 draw, 1 win, 1 loss. And those are all teams within biting distance of Charlotte. So, I mean, it's something that they're going to have to figure out. It's something with the team is just not clicking and not working like it was at the beginning of the season.
Which is surprising considering the roster they have.
No, it's full of stars.
Yeah. And like you said, in their last 3 matches, they've had 3 points. So they're sitting like in the last, considering total points across the last 3 matches, they're in 8th place. In the last 5 matches, tallying up those total points, they are in 10th place.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at their away form, they are in 9th place in total form on the road. So it's not pretty. They're averaging 1 point a match on the road. So at least they're getting that draw or that average of a draw result
Mm-hmm.
on the road. I mean, those are still valuable points to carry.
Yeah.
But this is a team that was a lot hotter to start at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you just look at their overall average points per match, remember we said the 1.5 was the line you kind of wanted to be at. They're above that line at 1.53, but if you continue this trend, which it kind of seems like they're going to, um, just based by how they've been playing recently, that's not good. That's going to drop significantly.
Oh yeah.
And it's not like their schedule. Let's double check, but I'm pretty sure their schedule gets more difficult, not less difficult. Yeah, this weekend they've got Richmond. On next Wednesday they have Charlotte, or excuse me,
No.
Greenville.
Yeah.
Then they've got Fuego, but then they're playing Northern Colorado again. their
Oh,
schedule does not get easy
yeah,
anytime soon.
man. And speaking of week 18 matches coming up this Saturday, we have a lot to say about that kind of stuff. So make sure you tune in for the very end of the episode as well, because that's going to be a fun discussion because we did some stats. We found some cool storylines to go along with it. We'll talk a bit more about that later, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But as far as this match, we had some good performances. Brian, give us those 3 stars.
Right. So the first star, obviously, I don't think it's any shock to anyone. Trevor Ammon. I mean, 2 goals, had 7 total shots as well. 75% shot accuracy, 3 of 3 on his tackles, won over 50% of his ground and aerial duels, and um, was able to draw 3 fouls. So obviously, he's getting the first star. For my second star here, we're gonna go with Arthur Rogers. 90 minutes played, 1 assist, had 3 shots as well. Was 73% on his passing, his accurate passes. Created 5 chances. 45% on his accurate crosses. Was only dispossessed twice as well. So, yeah, obviously Arthur Rogers continues to be a force to be reckoned with in that center mid spot. And my third and final star, Ooh, we got two guys for Charlotte that I want to give it to, but I'm going to give it to Dane Kelly. 90 minutes had one of their goals. Successful dribbles was 100%, 2 of 2. Had 3 recoveries, was only dribbled past one time as a striker, which is crazy, and was able to draw 3 fouls as well. So um, there was a couple different options for Charlotte, but I think Dane Kelly really made himself one of the best on the field.
He's had 4 goals this season. I thought he was at like 2 or 3. I didn't know he was at 4. So
Just getting it done quietly.
yeah, good for him. He's
Yeah,
tied with Trezor Mbuyu for the club leading score.
very nice.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Well, I'm going to
So
jump
we go
in
from
real quick,
oh yeah,
and because I was not watching the live chat, and now I got it back pulled up, so I apologize for that, guys. So I'm going to start at the top. This might be a bit of a long one because we did get quite a few. Michael Sharp asking if we're going to be downtown Omaha on Saturday morning.
oh, because they're doing the Pride Parade, and
Uh,
isn't there a celebration at something or other, one of the bars down there or something?
I am not sure. I won't be down there. Both of my kids have baseball games first thing in the morning, so
And I have to work that day, so can't do
yeah,
it either.
I got a split time between the kids' baseball, so unfortunately, no, I will not be there. Tim with Ranting Blue Penguin Media, going back to the Romeo Beckham slander from earlier, said, "Where art thou, Romeo?" Um,
Oh, who did he get signed by? Um,
Brentford too, I believe.
Brentford. That's right. Yeah.
Michael Sharp saying the watch party has changed for Saturday. That's Union Omaha specific, so I don't really remember a whole lot about it. So I'd check the club socials for that stuff. Uh, ranting Tim with Ranting Blue Penguin Media again. Copy Rich is going hard and back on the cider checks.
Yeah.
um, Michael Sharp saying it's at Ralston at the Granary Green because Crow Strain is doing a celebration. So,
Hmm.
um, Allison coming in and saying, I missed the beginning of the show and came into showing off the Irish death. Yes, very much so. Michael Sharp, Christmas in July, by the way. So going on there again.
Rub it in, Mike.
Allison, seasonally there apparently is also Aloha Death.
Ooh.
I wonder what that one would be like.
Yeah.
Michael Sharp telling us that Christmas in July tomorrow night at Warner Park for the Storm Chasers game.
Oh, is it really?
Not fans of it, Michael. Come on. Hallmark is coming out with new ornaments this weekend. I feel like Michael is trying to come at us for our Christmas in July takes or our Christmas takes in general. I'm not here. I'm not here for the slander, Michael. Not okay. um, apparently, Michael's going to be in Fort Collins on July 21st. I believe
Oh,
that's got to be a
next Friday. Yeah.
yeah, it's got to be a Union Omaha. No, are we not?
No, they
That's
yeah, they
we're
go there
there
this
this
weekend.
weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tim with Ranting Blue Penguin Media, most deadly scoring combo in League One, refs and the Union Omaha penalty spot.
Yep.
And I'm not sure what the not great Bob meme was in reference to. I don't remember, but we can insert that back in somewhere. And Allison clarifying that it's coconut, so it's a no for you, Rich.
Ah,
Right. Now we are caught up with the live chat. I
dumb.
apologize, everyone. Oh, okay. Tim saying Charlotte's form is not great. So when you talk about
Oh,
Charlotte's form, insert the not great Bob meme.
yeah.
I agree.
Yep. So we go from one Northern Colorado match to another Northern Colorado match. To start off the Saturday matches, Chattanooga hosted Northern Colorado. Finished with a 1-1 draw. another good showing there at the Den. How's
Hmm.
that doing on par with their season average?
So their season average is 24-11.
Okay.
So this one just a little bit under, but still in the ballpark. And Chattanooga is sitting on fourth in the average attendance totals.
Hmm.
So the teams in front of them, obviously Richmond and Forward Madison, are both having amazing years for their attendance numbers.
Yeah.
And then Union Omaha jumped up there with their Week 17 showing, and you have Chattanooga sitting there. So,
I tell you what, every single well, I won't say every single player, but a lot of the players that I speak with, all say that playing at the Den is a lot of fun, but at the same time, it's probably one of the toughest places to play because it has an easier ability to rattle them because of the way that it's designed. Those fans are really close to the field,
mhm.
and they get they can carry some noise on match days.
Oh yeah,
Um,
they rowdy.
yeah, and they brought it on Saturday because they inspired the team get that to earn the draw there in the third minute of extra time there in the second half
Hmm.
with the Mensa goal from assisted by Riley Kraft. So
Yeah.
good showing from the Red Wolves, finding that goal in the closing seconds. It was a scramble there in the box too.
Hmm. Yeah, this was definitely not a match that I would have saw coming.
No,
I mean, Trevor getting another goal, obviously. I think at this point it would be a shock to see him not score as opposed to seeing him score again. Um, and Valentin Sabella got that assist for him, and then yeah, the Mensa goal for Chattanooga late. I mean, there's not really any quit in this Chattanooga team, even though they're not having the season that they would have liked, obviously. But only being halfway through, there's plenty of time to change. You could switch fortunes with any of the teams on the table if you're um, playing well enough and you figure out what's going on. That being said, I mean they figured out how to take out um, Northern Colorado and make them less scary to deal with, I guess would be the way I would put it.
yeah. So Trevor Ammon is the first player in League One to get double digits on goals this season. He's sitting at 12. And the next closest is Noe Meza at 9.
Hmm.
And when you look at the league top scorer, Trevor Ammon at 12, league assist leader, Arthur Rogers at 7. Like I said, I need to do some research to figure out who has the deadliest combo. But like I said, those two right there, I mean, it's hard to think of a matchup or a duo that's more deadly than those two guys.
Hmm. I agree.
I feel like Olix Anderson is another one that would be in contention, but I don't know who he would be up there with, like who on his team.
Yeah, I feel
'Cause
like
he's scored goals and he's provided assists, but I don't know who would be on the other end of those for
mhm.
him.
I feel like a lot of these guys that are on the Golden Boot list are getting assists from everyone on the team. I don't think outside of the two at Northern Colorado, I don't feel like there's a whole lot of guys that are scoring goals with the same guy assisting them. I
Yeah,
think it's most teams, it's more of a team effort because I mean, even what 2 weeks ago, the highest, the guys highest on the list were at like 3 and 4 assists. So this kind of
yeah,
just kind of came out of nowhere, and obviously Arthur Rogers is coming into his own, which it's great if you're a NoCo fan, but the rest of the league it's not so great.
yeah. So I know that Joe Brito, he's at 4 assists, I think, and he leads the Union Omaha.
Hmm.
But yeah, seeing Arthur Rogers. there with 7. I mean, he's man, those guys are killing it out there in
Hmm.
Northern Colorado. So when it came to this match, there was I can't remember who I voted or what I voted for in our poll that we put out on the weekends, but I feel like there was hesitancy on my part to vote for Northern Colorado win or a draw because of the fact that they were playing in the Den. And Chattanooga is a more defensive team. And so I felt like Northern Colorado was going to have a tougher time playing against them. And there it is. I mean, it shows up right there.
Hmm.
Um, so that kind of goes with what I was saying earlier, how Northern Colorado has a very specific style. Um, and I don't know, I haven't seen a whole lot of evidence that teams have been able to defend them, incredibly well to force them into other offensive tactics. They know what their strengths are. They're playing to those strengths and they're going to continue doing so until someone tells them or forces them to do otherwise.
Hmm.
It's a very simplistic style of offense and it's obviously very effective. I mean, look at the way that they're scoring.
Hmm.
Um, I think if we look at the number of goals that they are scoring, let me find that here. Um, at home, let's see, they're scoring on average 2 goals a match. And on the road, they're scoring on average 2 goals a match. So I mean, this is a high-powered offense, and I'm wondering how teams are going to adjust to them in the second half of the season, seeing the defensive efforts of previous opponents and trying to, like I said, force them into a separate or an alternate offensive tactic. I wonder how that's going to go.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree, and that actually answers the question I was going to ask you as well. Um, and I you really have to wonder with Northern Colorado having to make up as many matches as they're going to have to make up. That's going to have to eventually play into something. 'Cause, I mean, you would think they're going to have to falter at some point just from the sheer number of matches they're going to have to be playing here in the next few weeks to catch up to everybody. So, um, yeah, I think it's definitely something to keep an eye out for, and I'm curious as to what it was that Chattanooga was able to see to slow down this attack, and if that is something that somebody who's a little bit more tactically sound is going to be able to break down and say, "Oh, okay, this is exactly how they did that." Because I mean, watching it I mean, it also kind of looked like Northern Colorado just wasn't having their best night.
Yeah.
They had a lot of shots that went towards goal, but just didn't hit the mark. So it seemed like this was the perfect storm of Chattanooga playing a really sound defensive strategy, and Northern Colorado just not being on the top of their game.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that as well. I agree. And it's also interesting to see how Chattanooga is adjusting with Jimmy Weekly at the helm versus Ziggy, and seeing how they're altering their approach and their style moving forward. Jimmy Weekly is very ingrained there at the Chattanooga club, um,
Hmm.
and so he knows what kind of vision he has that he wants within the club, and it'll be interesting to see how the club continues to operate
Hmm.
through the rest of the season with Weekly at the helm. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, I suppose we can jump into the stars for this match. Um, Obviously, one of the stars is going to go to Trevor again. Sound like a broken record here, but 1 goal. He only took 1 shot though, so 100% on his shots. So 75% accurate passing as well. So um, yeah, like I said, 100% on the shot accuracy. 67% successful dribbles, and was only able to draw 2 fouls in this one. So not as all around of a match, but I don't think anybody for Northern Colorado was playing as well as they did against Charlotte. So the next star is going to go ahead and go to Mensa for Chattanooga. He scored their goal. He only played 28 minutes, took 2 shots in that time, only had 6 touches as well, which
Oh man.
as a guy that scored the goal only on 6 touches, that's crazy.
Yeah.
67% of his ground duels won and was able to draw 2 fouls in those 28 minutes. So he gets the shout out for the second star. The third star, I think I'm going to go with Carlos Aviles. Jeez. Aviles. 90 minutes played, had 5 saves, only conceded 1 goal, was 74% on his passing and 33% for his long balls as a keeper. Um, yeah, made 3 saves inside the box as well. So just this match could have been a lot higher scoring if it wasn't for a lot of his efforts. So
Mm.
I feel like he deserves that third star and that shout out um, for helping Chattanooga come out with a draw in this one.
Yep. Yeah, Aviles is definitely one of those guys that Chattanooga is very thankful to have around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially in, I mean, that's not an easy attack to stop, as we've spoken on before. So,
Yeah.
um, and that defensive form, I mean, we saw it last year with Chattanooga with Jimmy Weekly at the helm too. I think it's something that he definitely emphasizes, and it worked out for them last year. So I'd say Jimmy kind of knows what he's doing. If he could get that offense figured out, this could be a very dangerous team. Do I think they'll make the
Mhm.
playoffs? No, probably not. But again, it could be one of those teams that is going to ruin some people's seasons.
Yep. I agree. All right, so we move to the next match on Saturday night with One Knox hosting North Carolina. Man, One Knox putting on a show again,
Yeah.
and they did it in front of a good crowd there, too.
hmm Yeah. 2,109. That's about 200 fans over their season average. So always nice to see some growth there. Um, but yeah, this this is a good North Carolina team that they were facing, and
Mhm.
it's it's one of those things with this North Carolina team. Well, I guess we can go into the timeline. So in the 4th minute, for North Carolina, Olex Anderson scores, assisted by Mensingen. One Knox ties it up in the 31st minute. Jalen Chrysler, assisted by Skelton. And then One Knox in the 36th minute, so only 5 minutes later, Frank Ross, assisted by Jake Keegan. And it looked like One Knox was going to be able to carry this victory to the end. But as he does, Garrett McLaughlin shows up in the 60th minute, assisted by Devin Benton, and ties the match up 2-2, and is able to salvage a point on the road for North Carolina.
Yeah, that Frank Ross goal was a beauty.
Mm-hmm.
That was one where I had to watch the footage several times because man, that was a good one.
It was pretty, very
Yeah.
pretty. This was one of those matches that I really enjoyed watching back because the action was there for the entirety of the match. There wasn't really a dull moment.
And once again, One Knox is showing us their ability to compete with clubs above them and clubs that are competing with the shield, the regular season shield, and moving into heavy contenders for playoffs. It's
Mm-hmm.
just it's crazy to see how One Knox uh, continues to operate on, they're putting up results, and at the same time they're still flying under the radar. There's not a whole lot of attention that's being thrown their way, and they're still a quality team.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's just
So, I mean, that also brings up the question though, is One Knox for real, or are they just catching teams when they're sleeping or at the right time to be in this position as often as they have been? Because it seems like One Knox is one of those teams that when you watch them play, it doesn't necessarily translate. You're like, oh wow, this is a really, really good team. They look like a solid team and a good team, but they continue to do this where they're bringing these top tier teams, like you said, down essentially down to the wire. And just how? I mean, is this a team that everybody is just sleeping on, or what? What is the deal?
I do think there is an element to teams sleeping on them because of the fact that they're One Knocks, they're new to the league. I think there's an element to that involved.
So it's like the
I
new kids
also,
on the block kind of deal.
yeah, and I
Hmm.
think that there is also the element that, if there is the case that players, coaches are listening to, the various podcasts that are going on around all around out there. Um, there's not a whole lot of talk about One Knox being one of those teams that's going to continue competing in October and November. So for the fact that they're not getting as much attention from the league in general, they're having to generate it on their own
Hmm.
through their own social media posts and the cool, merchandise that they're putting out. Um, it's yeah, they are taking teams by surprise. At the same time, they're putting in defensive efforts to put their opponents on alert moving forward, because they know that anytime you play them, whether it's home, whether it's away, it's going to be a battle the entire time, and you're going to have to play the full 90 minutes in order to get a result off of them. Um, I'm still not swayed into putting them into my playoffs. The last three, looking at their total points, they have 2 points in their last three matches. That puts them in ninth place. In their last five, they have 6 points, and that puts them in seventh place.
Hmm. That's
They're
outside the
still
playoff line.
averaging they're still averaging 1.29 points a match. So they're
Yeesh.
still below that threshold that
That
you and
threshold,
I
yeah.
agreed on.
Hmm.
Um, but if you look at their total record, their home and away goals and all that kind of stuff, I mean they're consistently sitting middle of the league, and that tells you that they're not giving up, but they're also not gonna. They're just not gonna finish as high.
Hmm.
I'm not ready to put them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Um, and I mean, if you look at the flip side of it too, North Carolina, North Carolina is one of those weird teams. They looked like world beaters at the beginning of the season, but they're starting to show cracks, and teams are taking advantage of it. I mean, obviously you have Northern Colorado taking advantage, and you have Forward Madison taking advantage of it. Granted, they're separated by 2 points. North Carolina and Colorado are separated by 2 points, but also Northern Colorado has one less game than North Carolina does at this point. So um, you got to figure with their current run of form, they're at least going to get one more, so that pushes that up to 3 points. Um, so it's crazy that the league as a whole this season is really tight 1 through 8. 9 is pretty close, but so we'll call it 1 through 9 is all within shouting distance of each other, and all it takes is a bad run of form to knock you from hosting a playoff spot to fighting for a playoff spot, or not
Oh
even
yeah.
hosting a playoff match. And I feel like North Carolina is one of those teams that come late in the season, if they're going to be on one of those kind of roller coaster rides where at the beginning of the season they were riding that real high. Right now, with their current run of form, they've dipped a little bit. And when is that going to come back up? Are they going to start peaking at just the right time, or are they going to peak too early and then ride another wave back down and potentially crash out of hosting a playoff spot?
Hmm.
Um, I mean, in my head, I still have them making the playoffs, which goes contrary to what I was saying at the beginning of the season. But I mean, it's close. It's going to be one of those seasons again, like it has been in seasons past, where if your runs of form are not good throughout the season, or you have too many matches where you're not getting victories, you're really going to be on the outside looking in. There's too many teams that are good in this league that you really can't afford to have 5 matches that are bad.
Yeah.
So, North Carolina is not necessarily on that train yet, but I mean, they definitely got to be paying close attention because they also, this weekend, they're also playing Forward Madison. So, and then
Yeah.
they've got Northern Colorado after that. So their schedule is not the easiest schedule in the world either. So, um, they got to figure something out because draws aren't going to do it. I mean, draws on the road, yes, are always one of those things you want to get. You want to get a draw on the road. That's kind of the industry standard. If you can get a win, awesome, even better. But the minimum amount you want to get on the road is a draw. But they've they've still got to they've still got some work to do.
Yeah. So when you talk to baseball fans, um, you if you start talking about how teams are going to be finishing in the standings, like in their divisions and playing, heading into the playoffs,
Hmm.
eventually in the conversation, you're going to hear them rattle off this quote, this I don't know, universal belief among the fans that you're going to win 54 games, you're going to lose 54 games. It's what you do with the remaining 54 games that decides your fate and whether you're playing in October. And I feel like that's a similar thing to what we're seeing in League One. You're going to win, I don't know, you're probably going to win 8 matches. You're going to lose 8 matches. It's what you do with the remaining 16, like
Hmm.
of how you're going to handle those wins and losses, and that's going to decide your fate. And I think that's what we're seeing with One Knox. They're putting in some strong performances, but they're also getting on the unlucky side more often than not. There are times when they could easily be getting 3 points, but they end up, suffering and getting just one.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's interesting.
It is, and I mean this league has always been, or yeah, I say always been, like the league's been around for 20 years. I mean, it's only been around for what, 5 years now, but um, I mean, in the very short time that the league's been a thing, I mean, draws will get you into the playoffs more often than not. So if you can draw a majority of your matches and just have your wins be a little bit higher than your losses, you're pretty pretty easily in the playoffs in years past. But also, I feel like the league as a whole this year is significantly more talented top to bottom than it was in years past as well.
Yeah.
That's why you see the table 1 through 9 being super tight. I mean, within, granted, 1 to 9 is 11 points, but 6 to 9 is 4 points.
Yeah.
So it's a tight table. Um, so, I
And you
mean,
were right.
something's got to give.
And you were right earlier in the season when you were saying you have to take care of business at home and then, do what you can on the road. and we're seeing that make a huge difference in the
Hmm.
clubs and their placement in the table when you look at their home results, when you look at their away results, and how that's affecting their total record and where they sit in the current standings.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely true. Um, if you look at, excuse me, I mean, yeah, if you look at the top teams in the league, they're away. Oh God, sorry, their away average points per match are all at almost 2 points per match. The top clubs. So, I mean, you have to take care of business at home for sure. That's always been. I mean, that's no matter what league you're playing in, you have to take care of business at home. No team makes the playoffs with a really bad home record. You at least have to have a decent one.
Yeah.
It's what you do on the road, and it's if you can make some of the matches that you play wins that should be draws, or draws that should be losses. And it's really as simple as that. It's almost like the teams that are the more gritty teams that can grind out these draws or these wins are the teams that are going to make it. It's not always the pretty flashy signings, and we're kind of seeing that with the table right now with North Carolina and Charlotte. I mean, they have the big name signings, the really high powered offenses. Um, but I mean, they're sitting at 3 and 4, but the teams above them, Northern Colorado and Forward Madison, didn't make huge splash signings like Carolina and Charlotte did. They just are a both very well coached teams that have the guys that fit their system.
I thought for a second you were saying that Madison didn't make any splashy signings, and I thought, really?
No,
You
they
really want to talk about that?
they made splashy signings, but not as many splashy
Yeah,
signings, right?
yeah.
So
Because I remember freaking out on League One day one.
yeah. Oh, so real quick, Soup Loops wants to jump in and saying if Tormenta could ever be as good at home as they were away, we would be flying right now. Uh,
Exactly. I was
true.
thinking about bringing up
Yeah,
Tormenta, but I didn't. Thank you,
they're
Soup
the
Loops.
yeah. Thank you. The Tormenta is the exception that proves the rule, right? So, um, Soup also says last year 7 away and 5 at home. This year 4 away and 1 at home. So
Yeah,
there's always exceptions that prove rules, and Tormenta is that exception.
yeah. Oh, believe me, we're gonna talk about that here at toward the end of the episode. We're getting there. Have we really only talked about 3 matches?
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, we're an hour and 4 minutes in, and we've only talked about 3 matches. All right, so apologies to the rest of these teams. We're going to make it a little bit quicker, I think. So I'm going to jump into the stars real quick. For North Carolina, gets the first one with Rafa Mensingen. 89 minutes played. I mean, by the time he walked off the field, probably 90 minutes. Let's just call it 90. Um, he had 60% accurate passing, 100% on his accurate long balls, huge thing. Was only dispossessed once, won 2 tackles, had 6 recovery runs back, won 60% of his ground duels and 100% of his aerial duels, and was able to draw 3 fouls. So Rafa Mensingen, obviously, I rant and rave about this dude, but really great. Um, the second one, I'm going to give it to Garrett McLaughlin. Um, 90 minutes played, had the 1 goal for NCFC, 73% passing, 3 passes into the final third, was only dribbled past once, and was 75% on his aerial duels and 50% on his ground duels won. And my third one, I got to give it to Jalen Chrysler. 90 minutes played, had a goal as a center back, 70% on his accurate passing, 9 passes into the final third, again as a center back, and won 50% of his ground duels and recovered 6 times. So getting it done on the defensive side and the offensive side.
All right, there you have it. One Knox versus North Carolina.
It's 3, right? Yeah, Benzigan, McLaughlin, and Chrysler. Yep.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure.
So now we jump into the Saturday night match between Ford Madison and Central Valley. Ford Madison won on a Derek Gebhard goal in the 16th minute. Huge crowd. Well, okay, I say that compared to what we see from across the league, but for Madison, this may be just a regular crowd. How is that stacking up for them?
It's actually about 600 more fans than usual.
Hey,
So,
nice. Love it.
and yeah, so Madison continuing to be one of the better attended teams.
Of course they are.
Yeah, I mean, that's really no surprise to anybody that's watched the league for a while.
They do,
Um,
yeah, they do a great job with their home promotions.
mhm. Yeah, always really good. The front office does a really good job out there. Um, I will say, Rich, me and you were both very wrong about this match. I picked a 3-1 Central Valley Fuego win on El Fuego
Oh,
Pod, and
I was
you
even more wrong.
you chose a 6-2 Central
Yeah,
Valley win, which I
yeah.
thought was crazy at the time. But a 1-0, I mean, it feels like there's a lot to be proud of if you're a Fuego fan from um, this encounter with Forward Madison, who is one of the better teams in the league this year. Um, but again, we're sitting here talking about moral victories. When is Central Valley going to turn the corner from turning these moral victories into actual victories? Or are they even going to?
I so first off, in my defense, um, I threw those tea leaves out as soon as I saw the final score on that one. Clearly, those tea leaves were wrong about the 6-2 prediction, so I'm no longer endorsing tea leaves. So as far as this match, I got to tell you, I'm frustrated with Central Valley.
Mhm,
Week in, week out, we've been hyping them and saying, um, they keep having these one goal losses and they're looking like they're working hard and they look like they're moving in the right direction. And here we are, another one goal loss. And in their last 5 matches, they've only scored one goal and they've conceded 6.
mhm,
So I'm just tired of like, yeah, Central Valley, you can do this. And
mhm.
then they go out there and do the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, man, I feel bad for the El Fuego pod people because here I am, like I want to like infuse some optimism your way, but man, I'm just no, I don't know if it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You're throwing doubt into my prediction that they're not gonna win the wooden spoon. I mean,
Mhm.
oh, now I will say that this weekend is a crucial matchup against was it Lexington? They play Lexington? Yeah, Lexington. They host Lexington this weekend. We'll talk more about that later. But I mean, in these matches, like, man, I mean, you're not going to get participation ribbons. That's not
Mhm.
the way this works. I mean, you gotta score goals. You gotta do something to win. Like, even if you don't score a goal, the best result you can hope for is a draw. You
Mhm.
have to score goals, and they're not doing that. Um, Let me look at some stats here that are even more concerning.
Well, I mean, so the thing with Central Valley is they have a good midfield. They have a
Yeah,
good defense, but they cannot score.
they
The-
can't score.
Their their players up front just cannot make those runs, and they're just not creative. That is the issue with Central Valley. And then the funny thing is if you flip the script and look at the team that they were playing this week, Forward Madison has a good defense, a good midfield, but their attackers attack. It's
Oh yeah.
and I mean it's as simple as that. Anytime you watch Central Valley play, they don't have guys making runs into the box. They don't have guys getting upfield, and they have no offensive identity. To be blatantly honest, I mean it's astonishing to me that this team can continue to pull out these close matches with no semblance of an offense.
Yeah.
The players on their back line, I mean, you look at everybody on their entire back line. You know, their four guys on their back line and their midfield are doing all the work. They just don't have the firepower up front right now, or the creativity, I think, is actually the bigger deal. I think their guys can score. They're just not creative. The runs that they make are not goal scoring runs. They'll get into the box with their backs to goal and be unable to do anything with the ball other than to pass it back.
Yeah.
It just
They're
it's frustrating to watch. And even as a neutral, I mean, watching parts of this match, it just like what are you doing?
yeah. Their leading goal scorer on the season is Cerritos,
Hmm.
which I mean, not surprising. I mean, he's probably one of their best players.
Sure.
But what is surprising is the fact that he only has 3 goals on the season.
Yeah.
And if you threw that into most of the rest of the league, he would not be the leading scorer for that club, and he may be like middle of the pack at this point in the season.
Right now he
But
has 1/3 of Central Valley's total goals scored.
oh my gosh. And when you look at their leading assisters, they all have 1 assist. It's just there's nothing happening in the offensive third.
I mean, if you can't score, you can't assist. I
Yeah.
mean,
And
um,
at the same time, if you can't assist, you can't score.
yeah,
Um,
it's true. But
so
again,
it's
you have to have the creativity to get into the box and score goals. I
yeah,
mean, it's just they don't have that creativity. They need somebody on that front line or on that coaching staff that can figure out how runs are supposed to be made and how they can attack the teams that they're playing. Because obviously their defense is good enough to get them at least draws. And so, I mean, this is a high powered Forward Madison offense, right?
mhm,
I mean, they're not the highest in the league, but they're not pushovers. They've scored 19 goals this season. I mean, they're not pushovers as a team. So to hold them to one, especially, you know, with an inept offense, with your midfield and defense having to do most of the work if you're Central Valley, I mean, I'm sure those guys were gassed by the end of it because they had to do everything.
yeah, yeah.
I do want to get Tim in Ranting Blue Penguin Media. Forward Madison won on a Gebhard goal and a phenomenal goal line clearance from not the keeper.
Not the keeper.
Appreciate you, Tim.
Yep.
So let's jump into. I'm not going to go into the stats on these ones.
Yeah.
But Mitch Osmond, I mean, dude's. I'm going to go into the stats on him. He definitely deserves it on this one. 90 minutes played, 93% accurate passing as your center back, not one of two center backs, the center back, because Madison played a 3-5-2 in this match. 100% on his dribbles, had 12 clearances, 9 of which were headers, 7 recoveries, and was only dribbled past once as the center back. So he gets 1 star for sure. Derek Gebhard is going to get my 2nd star. Only played 64 minutes, but scored the goal. 79% on his accurate passes, and also was 1 of 1 on his aerial duels, and was only dribbled past once as well, sitting as your midfielder, one of your 5 midfielders for this match for Forward Madison. But hey, whatever
Yeah.
works for him, right? And the
They do
other,
really well. They do really well with that 3-5-2 formation.
they do.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'm going to highlight, unfortunately, Central Valley. You do not get any stars on this one, even though I like to try to do that. Jacob Curl is going to get the 3rd star. 90 minutes played, 86% on his accurate passes from that left wing, 79 touches as well, 7 recoveries, 3 clearances, and was 100% on his ground duels won.
At so at the moment, I have him as my defensive player of the year,
Ooh,
and it hurts to say that considering how bitter I am toward him.
sure, sure.
But I will respect the fact that he's had a very good season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's true. I don't think I had him as my defender of the year, but I can see that, and that's fair.
I had thoughts of putting someone else in there, and we can save that for another time. But we were on the topic of Ford Madison,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, sorry, I'm chugging these beers.
Oh, it's all good. So we'll jump down to the next one. Union Omaha hosting the Richmond Kickers. Union Omaha comes out victorious 4-1, in front of their largest crowd of the season at 35-24. So Union Omaha fans showed out for that one.
All right, here's my second corny joke of the night. Union Omaha wore the all white kit, so they may have been looking like stormtroopers, but they certainly weren't shooting like them.
It's fair.
That's just so damn bad. Okay,
It
that's the last Star Wars themed joke I'm making for this match.
No, if you want to make Star Wars jokes, that's fine. I'm all for Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
this
was
was Star Wars night for anybody that was not in Omaha. So um, it was kind of a fun promotion that came up. I will say, Union Omaha did less for Star Wars night, including a certain podcaster that you may or may not hear every week, than a certain other team that is a rival. But I guess we can let it go because of the performance of Union Omaha.
yeah, this was certainly a very fun evening. Um, starting off with all the hype around the Star Wars festivities. They had the soundtrack playing when you walked into the stadium. They had people dressed up in the costumes.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
shout out
it was
to it's the 501st Legion, and those I'm gonna nerd out on everybody for a minute here, but yeah, the 501st Legion it's a cosplay group, but their requirements are so strict that your costumes have to be movie accurate to be inducted into their kind of cosplay group. So
they looked really good.
yeah, it's like I said, movie quality stuff. So I got a picture. My son got a picture with a stormtrooper and a first order trooper that were there, and I thanked him for taking a picture because I'm sure it was hot as hell inside those suits.
Yeah.
And they actually have the voice modulator that the stormtroopers have. And I said, "Oh, hey, thanks, guys." And he said, "You're welcome." And it came out as the stormtrooper voice. "You're welcome." It's like, dude, these guys, no joke, like at all. Like these are movie replicas. Like you could throw them in one of the movies and they would not be out of place.
That's cool. Um, I I remember seeing what was was like a Tuscan Raider walking around too, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a Tusken
And
Raider. Yep.
that one looked like movie authentic. I remember
Yeah.
seeing that one and thinking like, "Holy crap, man, that one looks cool as shit."
Yeah, when I was walking up to get my son's ticket for the Little Owls Club, he was walking in and he had his gaffy stick sitting on his roll-in cart. He had an entire cart for his costume. So um, shout out to that guy. That was pretty sweet.
The costume that I was looking forward to seeing the most was Ahsoka. I did not see
Oh
her
yeah,
walking around. I would have loved if I'd have seen her walking around, I'd have stopped everything that I was doing and ran up to her, like waited in line and everything to get a picture with her, but
yeah.
no, didn't have
I did not see an Ahsoka one.
yeah.
Um, I know they put the little Yoda out because I know Marty Cordero, one of the GMs for the Chasers in Omaha, is a huge Star Wars fan as well. So
Yeah.
I didn't see him though. I really need to ask what his favorite Star Wars movies are, but
Oh
gotta
yeah.
find out.
I thought about asking in the post-match interviews like Star Wars questions, but at that point it was all about the victory and it was about
Yeah,
Noe Meza getting, all-time leading scorer. So the attention was elsewhere. I didn't want to bring it like over to Star Wars, so the temptation was real though.
you're right. Um, so Tim, Ranty Blue Make Penguin Media, speaking to your joke earlier, Rich said you have more pride in that joke than your kit has pride. Rich is wearing the third kit this season, which is also our pride kit. So there's a lot of pride on that kit. So that's saying that Rich really liked that joke.
Yep.
And then Tim also saying, "Sorry, Brian, no room for you," when they kept putting the kicker defense on the posters. So let's go through the scoring
Let's
really
do it.
quick because I got some questions that I'm interested to hear your opinion on. In the 24th minute, a JP Skeers header off a corner from Connor Doyle puts Omaha up 1-0. In the 39th minute, Emi Terzaghi scores a PK from a a call. I'm just gonna put aside the Union Omaha fandom. This is something that he does extremely well. And was there contact in the box? Yes, there was. But we've also talked about this on the show multiple times. Does Terzaghi do a really good job flopping and selling it? Yes, he does. He's one of the best in the business at it. And I don't blame the guy for doing it. If they're going to call it and he knows they're going to call it, I would do it too. Um, but that evens up the score. Just a beautifully taken PK too. He's one of those guys where he steps up and they most of the time they say it's what a like 70-30 advantage for the attacking player. I think when Terzaghi's up, it's more of a 90-10 advantage. I mean, that dude is just money when it comes to the penalty spot. But in the 49th minute, Union Omaha uh, goes up 2-1. Noe Meza becomes Union Omaha's leading scorer, assisted by Dion Akoff. And
Great feed from Dion.
just beautiful play all around,
Yeah.
honestly. Omaha, we'll get into it when we talk about it more, but Omaha completely controlled this match. Just aside from losing their heads and going down a man, this was Union Omaha's night. And that's evidenced by in the 68th minute, Steven Dos Santos coming on as a sub. Union Omaha actually replacing a defender with an attacker. So that kind of just showed where Dominic Cassiato's head was, and he was not happy with just winning 2-1 or just parking the bus. So Dos Santos comes in and scores off a rebound from a Noe Meza attempt. And then in the 79th minute, Steven Dos Santos again, this time assisted by Joe Brito to get his second goal of the night and put him at 3 on the season.
Great feed from Brito too.
Yeah, this. So I'm going to ask this just right off the top because we're going to talk about it for a little bit. But to you, Rich, what is the bigger shock, that Union Omaha played as well as they did while down a man, or the lack of discipline from Richmond?
Lack of discipline from Richmond,
Mhm.
wholeheartedly,
Yeah.
because we've seen that Union Omaha is taking steps toward improving, but to see Richmond play the way that they did was honestly shocking. I did not expect them to respond the way that they did in the second half, being up a man.
Mm,
They started the second half with the kick, um, and then as soon as they lost possession once, I mean, it was all Union Omaha from that point on, and
mhm.
it was honestly shocking to see Richmond that undisciplined for the second 45.
Yep, I agree. Um, so I'm actually gonna kind of disagree. I think it was a shock to me to see Union Omaha come out and play that well. Um, and I think this match got kind of chippy early on, and even heading into halftime, the teams were a little bit at each other's throats. And obviously, um, with Union Omaha getting two red cards in this match, one for a player on the field and one for a player on the bench, which I don't know how you get a red card on the bench when you're warming up. I mean, I do know how, but come on, man, you can't get baited into that, and that's been Union
Yeah,
Omaha's issue this entire season so far. But I really feel like I don't feel like Richmond played very well this match. So it's partially Richmond didn't play very well. They did not have a very good game. But I also think Union Omaha played a very good game, and that's evidenced by the score. Um, I would be a little bit a little bit apprehensive if I was a Union Omaha fan if this would have ended like 1-1 or 2-1. Even being down a man, it just, from the way Union Omaha controlled it from beginning to end, it seemed like this was the turning point for Union Omaha to start an uptick in their season. And as far as Richmond goes, I mean, Richmond is still a very good team.
yeah,
And I think this match was just not a good example of kind of the Richmond team that we've come to know in the past few seasons.
wholeheartedly
Um,
agree.
this looks more like Richmond in like 2020. So, I mean, a mid-table team, but I don't think that's indicative to actually where Richmond is going to finish or how good Richmond is this season. I think this was just one of those matches where it's just I can't do anything right no matter what I do.
Yeah. After the match, several players told me that Terzaghi was a part of their game plan. They knew that he was going to bait them into an emotional response. They knew
Sure.
his history in the league. They knew his history against Union Omaha.
He's smart. Yeah, I mean, he's
And
been in the league forever. He knows how to play in this league.
yeah, and so that was part of the frustration you saw when Gallardo was sent off. Players, you know, when Terzaghi was walking up to Gallardo and baiting him into, that stupid forehead touch thing.
Well, I feel like he initiated the contact.
Oh, I agree. I think he did too. But for Gallardo to lose his cool and to push his head forward,
Yeah.
he sealed his fate right there.
Hmm.
There was no turning back. It was an automatic red card. Um, Terzaghi didn't have to do a whole lot of work to sell it. It's an automatic red card in that case.
As it should be.
So
I mean,
yeah,
he pushed his head forward. That's a red card every single time.
yeah. So and that was one of the things that both players and uh, Coach Casiato was saying as Gallardo was leaving the field. They were actively telling him, like, we planned for this. We knew this was going to happen, and you still did it.
Mhm.
So that was another one of those instances where the emotional edge of Union Omaha uh, became their weakness.
Yeah, there's a bit of immaturity on this team.
Yeah. When they came out in the second half, I will say that I was sitting next to the video analyst for Union Omaha, and as soon as Dos Santos was subbed in, I turned to him and I said, "That's an interesting sub," because I was fully expecting Anderson Holt. Like, load up the defense and let's just ride this out. Let's get a result and let's call it a night.
Yeah.
But for Coach Casiato to put Dos Santos in and go for the jugular, that was a
Mhm.
huge risk, huge reward, and he got it.
Yeah, I agree. We've got a question here from Ranting Blue Penguin Media. Tim is asking, "Do you think being down, jeez, uh, Joe will affect them in the next match? Willis has been a bench player, so I don't see him being as much of a factor. Do I think Gallardo being out is going to be a huge factor in the next match?"
No, because I still think we have Luis Heel,
Hmm.
and those two are like for like in their substitutions. We also have Pedro Dolabella, who can always jump in. I think there's some confidence that he'll be able to get some minutes this weekend. Um, so I think that there's a plan in place. The team is confident about getting results this weekend at Northern Colorado. Um, so even though there's the frustration with Gallardo
Hmm.
getting the red card and having to serve his suspension, as well as Giovanni Willis, I still think that the team has a good plan in place, um, and they're not apprehensive or nervous heading into this weekend.
Right. And I think, I mean, replacing replacing Joe with Luis Heel, I, I I feel like that's going to be a better matchup anyway for Union Omaha. With Luis being a little bit more seasoned,
Yeah,
having a little bit better of a he's more of a facilitator than Gallardo is. So I feel like that would service Union Omaha better against Northern Colorado than having a guy that is just more dangerous in the attack um, against that team. Because as we spoke on earlier, I feel like Northern Colorado is susceptible to quick um, attacking quickly off of set pieces and stuff like that. And I feel like Luis Heel is better suited for that than Gallardo is.
yeah. And as much as I will bite my tongue about the Emiliano Terzaghi incident in the first half, I will not bite my tongue about the red card for Giovanni Willis in the second half. That was utter bullshit.
Hmm.
Um, I I learned what happened after the match, and there's no way they're going to be able to get that red card rescinded. At the same time, it was a weak red card. Like, that was total bullshit.
Yeah, I'd agree. Um, so we'll jump into our stars, and the first one's going to go to Terzaghi for me. He got Richmond's only goal, had 5 total shots, 82% on his passing, 100% on his aerial duels won, 75% on his ground duels won. Um, I know he wasn't super excited about being subbed off, but on a yellow card, and he's your primary scoring threat. I think it was probably the correct substitution for Richmond. And drawing the penalty as well, and then drawing a red card out of another player is, I mean, that's some of those intangibles that you can't really factor in. You don't, it doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but it it made a huge difference, or could have made a huge difference.
He's won 3 PKs on the season. He's won the most PKs across League One. And I think heading into the match against Omaha, I think it was either half of his goals were from PKs or something like that. So um, yeah, I mean, he certainly found a formula. He knows how to get under people's skin, and he takes advantage of it.
Hmm.
Good for him. I mean, that's veteran leadership right there.
Yeah, I'd agree. The second one is going to go to Steven Dos Santos. Um, Obviously, 2 goals on the night in only 29 minutes, 4 total shots, 63% on his passing, only 20 touches for those 2 goals as well. So, um, and drew 5 fouls, which was huge. He was drawing fouls all over the field and really um, slowing the match down in a time where Union Omaha needed it. And my third star, as much as I want to throw Skiers in because he scored the goal, I really have to go with Dion Akoff. 75 minutes played, 75% accurate passes, 75% accurate dribbles, and 50% on his accurate long balls with 7 passes into the final third. I mean, Dion's one of those guys that's all over the field. So for me, he gets that third star.
He was wide open all night.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't understand what Richmond was doing, leaving him wide open as often as he was. It was so weird.
I think it was more of Union Omaha has not shown that they're going to switch the field to this point,
True.
and so you can afford to leave that side of the field open before this match. Obviously, teams are going to have to adapt because Omaha has shown that they can do it. Granted, on a smaller size pitch, but it's definitely something the rest of the league is going to have to look at going forward.
Yeah. And shameless plug, if you're looking to learn more about this match, Brian and I both did a write up for Who Gives a Hoot. So head over to that website and read our articles.
Yes, if you want the actual like breakdowns and talking about the match, Rich is your man, and if you want the atmosphere around the stadium, I've got you covered.
Yep. All right. I'm going to get some more beer. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll jump into the next match here. Charlotte taking on Lexington. Charlotte pulling out the 2-1 victory. This is one of those matches where it's another frustrating match for Lexington because they've shown yet again that they have the pieces to do it. They just can't finish a match, and it's super frustrating. I know I harp on them every single week, and it's going to feel like I'm picking on them. I'm really not trying to pick on Lexington, but this is another match where it felt like you could have won this match if you played an entire 90. So in the 11th minute, Dane Kelly scores for Charlotte, assisted by Omar Sis. And then Diouf scores in the 36th minute on a PK. And then we cut to the 55th minute where Tresser Mbuyu, assisted by Miguel Ibarra, for the Charlotte victory. And I feel like this match was more indicative of Lexington being unable to play that entire match and Charlotte capitalizing late. It's just tough. Michael coming in on the live chat saying Lexington are now the true more kits than wins club. That is true. They do have more kits than wins. But it's just so damn frustrating watching Lexington, and I put together a full match. Just please put together a full match, and I promise you, you guys will be a lot better off than you are now. I know that's probably going to be a little bit of uh, the first year issues, but I mean it's something I talk about every single week, and I'm gonna have to continue doing it because it keeps happening every single week.
It's true. Yeah. Lexington is one of those teams that, man, they're just they show sparks of brilliance, but to carry it for a full 90 minutes, you're just left empty-handed,
Mhm.
wondering where it's all going. In their last 3 matches, they have 0 points, 3 straight losses. In their last 5, they have 4 points. So there was a win and a draw involved there.
Yep.
Um, but I mean, this is a team that is starting to relegate themselves to the bottom of the table, and they're not showing us any evidence that they're going to be able to climb out of it
Mhm.
anytime soon.
Yeah, and I mean, just the questions that I have for you, Rich. I mean, one I have one here for Lexington and one for Charlotte. Um, for Lexington, how can they turn these into wins? Like they obviously they have an inability to play an entire match, and it came back to haunt them again. But is it just as simple as playing an entire match at their best that they're going to be able to do this? And if so, how can they continue to do that match in and match out where they haven't shown that they have the ability to do that?
I don't think it's as simple as saying they just need to finish the match and play the full 90. I think there are weaknesses spotted in their on-field 11, and I think teams are exploiting that.
Mhm.
Um, so you're seeing those individual matchups sacrifice the team to a lesser result. And let's face it, Lexington has good players. They have a good coach. They have good tactics. I'm not entirely convinced that they have a full 11 on the field at any given moment that can get them the 3 points they need in order to climb the table. Um, I like watching Lexington play because of the fact that as you're watching, they have those moments where you see them scratching and clawing for every single inch of the field, and then you see those moments of brilliance. So there's a full range of motion because then every single time you see the struggle, you see the optimism, you're brought back down to earth with some play that has left you thinking, what is going on? Why did they do that? And I mean, obviously, that's just a part of sports culture in general. But with Lexington, they're a team that could easily be turning these results into draws, into wins, and it's just not happening. Um, Especially from a standpoint of playing at home. I mean, Lexington is not doing as hot at home. They have 12 total points at home. They're averaging a point and a half, which is pretty good. Uh, but they're also, giving up an average of, just about little over 1 goal a match. So they need to bring that down. They have players like Robertson, Nico Brown. Um, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on some names here.
Diouf,
Uh, yeah, Diouf. So they
Don
have
Smart,
quality players. We
Emil
can sit
Knight.
here, yeah, they have quality players that we can sit here and name off.
Yep.
But to get them to play cohesively as a unit is still where they're lacking.
Yep. I agree. Um, so as far as that goes, Charlotte, on the other hand, is this the bounce back Charlotte needed to get back to their first third of the season form, or do you think that that is even possible for this team?
I think this is the result they needed as far as getting, if they will get back to that type of form. Um, it depends on their schedule. I'd have to pull it up. Let me pull it up really quick
Mhm.
because if you look at their schedule, we are looking at. So they play at Richmond this weekend. They host Greenville, they host Fuego, they host Hailstorm, they go to Greenville. So they have some tough matchups here pretty soon. Charlotte is very offensively strong. They play against some good defensive units here in the coming weeks. I do think that they will be able to get some good results out of these next 5 matches. How many points they can get in those.
Mhm.
Um, I man, I'd have to take a closer look. I don't want to sit here and do predictions here and now,
Sure.
but the next 5 is not a bad lineup of opponents for them to capture some more points, continue to rise up the table, and to threaten North Carolina and Madison for that top spot.
Sure. I'd agree with that. So jumping into our stars here for me, it's I gotta go with Dio for the first one. 90 minutes had a goal. 81% accurate passes and 70% of his ground duels won, and was able to draw 2 fouls as well. So going in and getting the goal for Lexington, he gets the first nod. Second one is going to go to Tresser and Mbuyu. Played 77 minutes, was 67% on his passes, um, was only dribbled past twice, and was able to draw 1 foul. And for the third one, I got to go with Miguel Ibarra. Had the assist, was 94% accurate passing. Huge passing numbers for him as a midfielder. Um, had 77 touches as well, with 11 passes into the final third.
Oh man,
Just all over the field. Had 3 interceptions as well and 5 recoveries. It
jeez.
was also 88% on his long balls, which is a little misleading because he only sent 8 long balls, so he hit 7 of 8 for that 88%.
Still 7 of 8.
Yeah, as your only center midfielder, uh, crazy. Um, was that 2 or was that 3?
What's that?
Was that 2 or 3? Ibarra, and Imbuyu, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that was 3. Just wanted to make sure. I'm losing my mind. I can't count right now. But yeah, those are our 3 stars for this match.
And as far as league news, we did get that article that was posted in the Athletic talking about the promotion relegation that was coming out of the USL summer meetings that's happening next month in Colorado Springs. We will be talking much more on that topic next week
Hmm.
when we also have our mid-season special.
Yep.
We are also going to be inviting a few guests. Um, one of them has already confirmed. Brian, should we announce it here and now?
We can announce it. Yeah.
All right. We got Yogi
Yes.
from Richard. He's going to be coming on the show. First time ever having him on the show. We are super excited to have him on the show. We are still in the midst of inviting others to come onto the show. We are super excited to bring on multiple people to talk about the mid-season stuff. We're going to be talking about the promotion relegation. We're going to be talking about mid-season awards. We're going to be talking about our predictions in the second half of the season. We have a lot going on next week for our mid-season special, so it's going to be a very exciting show. Make sure you tune in for that one. We are also lining up interviews for the weeks after, and ones that we have not had on the show. So it's not going to be Darren again for the second time in 3 weeks. I promise you that.
Yeah. As much as we'd love to have Darren back, I think
Exactly.
we need to get out there a little bit and invite some other guests as well.
So we're excited for those opportunities as well. So with the league news behind us, we're going to jump into week 18 action. And I'm, I am not going to exaggerate when I say that this is the weekend where uh, boys become men. So there are so many matchups where the clubs are closely ranked, not only in the league standings, but when you look at home versus like their home record versus the away record, when you look at goals scored at home versus goals scored on the road, I mean these matchups could not be better. This is a true treat for USL League One fans heading into Week 18. I cannot think of a week that's going to be more exciting than this one leading into the playoff race at the end of the season. This is going to be an insane week for League One action, and I'm so excited.
Hmm. I agree.
To start off Week 18, we already had the one match between One Knox and Northern Colorado. Northern Colorado taking the road victory 4-2 over One Knox. As far as the Saturday matchups, they start as early as 6 p.m. Central Time, so 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Mountain Time. For the folks out on the West Coast, it'll be 4 o'clock. You guys know how to do the math. You don't need me doing all that stuff.
They're used
Central
to it.
Valley, Central Valley is going to be hosting Lexington. The overall rate. So we're going to be posting this on Twitter. It's going to be a graphic that we're doing tonight. We're going to be posting it tomorrow morning. Central Valley overall rank, they are 12th in the league. Lexington's overall rank, they are 10th. Central Valley's home rank is 12th. Lexington's away rank is 11th. And you're going to see this type of a close knit matchup with virtually every single match we're talking about, except for the Union Omaha versus Northern Colorado. Every one of the ones leading up to that last match of the night is going to be super tight the way that these two are fitted together. It's just in crazy circumstance looking at these matchups. It's incredibly exciting. Brian, interrupt me so I can stop talking because I'm just going to keep rambling about how excited I am for this weekend.
Yeah. So obviously, this match throws Central Valley against Lexington, and we have Lexington who is inconsistent with Central Valley who cannot score. Um, it's gonna be a tough one to call. I feel like Lexington has the advantage because they can score goals, but Central Valley's defense is also pretty stout as well. So that'll be a good one to start the night off with. Um, Unfortunately, also happening at the same time, which is again another gripe I'm going to keep bringing up with the league. Stop scheduling matches at the same time. It's one thing I hate about MLS. It's one thing I hate about League One as well. But we have Greenville taking on One Knox. So the overall rank for Greenville is sitting on 6th, whereas One Knox is sitting on 8th. Greenville at home is also 6th, where One Knox away rank is number 7 in the league. Another great matchup. This one is a little bit more interesting because these are two very good defenses, and I'm not sure which one has the edge on the attack. It
Yeah,
just seems like the exact same team playing each other. You could call this a Greenville scrimmage or a One Knox scrimmage, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, probably.
exactly. You have the two final thirds. They're just going to be sitting back into their zones, but middle third, like who's going to advance? I don't.
Yeah,
It's going to be fun to watch.
somebody's got to.
Yeah,
And again, for at 6 p.m. Central Time for Community Heroes Night, North Carolina hosts Forward Madison. North Carolina sitting on third place in the league. Forward Madison sitting on second. Excuse me. North Carolina's home rank is second, whereas Madison's away rank is first in the league. This is a titanic matchup right here.
yeah.
This is two of the best teams in the league going at it, um, and on a great night, as Community Heroes Night always is across the entire league. Um, This is going to be a good one. You thought there were fireworks last week's matches. I think your fireworks are on this one this week.
Yeah, I agree. This is going to be one of those matches where, oh man, it's going to be so. What time is that one? 6 o'clock.
6 p.m.
Oh,
Central.
yeah. There's 4 matches that kick off at 6.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is going to be one of those ones where, um, this is going to be this. This has huge implications toward final standing at the end of the season. Like it. This is a huge match.
Yeah, that'll be one to watch for sure. Also, again at 6 p.m. Central Time, Richmond is hosting Charlotte for Women in Sports Night. Another great cause and another great night. So we have Richmond sitting on fifth overall versus Charlotte sitting on fourth overall. Richmond's home rank is eighth in the league, and Charlotte's away rank is ninth in the league. So again, another one of those super close matchups.
And once again, this is another one of those matchups where Richmond has a good defense, but they can easily spur the effort on the other end of the field. Whereas Charlotte, they have a great offense and they can really test Richmond's defense. Just another great matchup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one quite a bit just to see what that Charlotte offense can do against a stout Richmond defense. Kicking off half an hour after these other matches is Tormenta hosting Chattanooga. Tormenta sitting on ninth overall, where Chattanooga is sitting on 11th. Tormenta's home rank, as we alluded to earlier, is 11th in the league, whereas Chattanooga's away rank is dead last in the league. So, two evenly matched teams. I feel like Tormenta might have the edge in this one with a little bit of a more rounded team. But this is also a very hungry Chattanooga team who last year, under head coach Jimmy Weekley, were able to make the finals. Granted, it was a completely different team, but I do have a little bit of faith in Jimmy to be able to pull this squad around.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I was rallying around Tormenta because Chattanooga on the road this season only has one goal on the entire season. They have not won a single match on the road. They have not drawn a single match on the road. They are flat out losing every single one of their away matches, which is evidenced through their one sole goal on the road. Um, so there's a part of me that is rallying around Tormenta, but at the same time, if you're sitting there thinking like Jimmy Weekly can pull this off, that's going to be a hell of a match to watch.
Well, I mean, Tormenta's home record hasn't exactly been stellar either. So
True.
this is a match of a team that can't win on the road versus a team that can't win at home. So it'll be an interesting one for all of the wrong reasons. And then the final match of the night is at 8 p.m. Central Time. Northern Colorado hosts Union Omaha on Military Appreciation / Hometown Heroes Night. So again, another great cause. A lot of good nights this week
Yeah.
in all of these stadiums. So shout out to everybody for putting together these awesome events. This is definitely the most lopsided of all of the. If you look at just the rankings, this is the most lopsided. You got Northern Colorado sitting on first in the league, Union Omaha sitting on seventh, Northern Colorado third in the league at home, and Union Omaha eighth in the league away. So this is going to be something where Omaha is going to definitely be tested by this Northern Colorado offense. And we're going to see if Union Omaha's offense can take advantage of a Northern Colorado defense that has shown they have trouble with set pieces and corners
Ooh,
this season, which
good
Union
call.
Omaha right now has been doing a lot better at.
Yeah, very good point.
So that is definitely going to be one that is difficult to call.
Yeah, look, we just rattled off those statistics for you guys. Even without looking at the different individual rankings, stylistically, so many of these matchups just work so well for entertainment. Um, you don't have to look at this statistics to get hyped up for these matchups. Um, man, this is gonna. I am I can't contain myself. This is the for me. This is like my form of Christmas in July because the matchups are just that good. I come on, man! It was right there for the taking.
Oh god. This is what you get, ladies and gentlemen, when we cross the 2-hour mark on the podcast. Oh man. I
But
agree
yeah,
though. It's definitely going to be a fun weekend and
yeah,
one I'm glad. I know next weekend I've got to work a shutdown, so I'm going to be working 12-hour shifts Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so it's good that these really great matches are happening this week.
yeah.
And be able to watch them this week. So,
And it's gonna be so exciting to talk about next week, especially when we
definitely.
have the guests that we're planning on having. We've already
Mhm.
confirmed Yogi. We're still reaching out to the others to have them on.
Mhm.
Um, so hopefully we'll have more exciting updates to let you all know about next week's show. But mid-season show, it's going to be a great one. It's going to be so much fun to talk about. Um, we also have some superlatives that we're going to be throwing out there for each club. Um, it's just going to be a fun show filled with like a ton of banter. So be
Yep.
excited for that one.
So, yeah, well, funny that you mentioned Yogi because we do have two questions from Twitter this week. One of which being Yogi, and he wants to know when will I ever get an invite, and just send the question. And then he said to send questions in and quote tweeted us. So, Yogi, we have answered your question. You will be on the podcast next week.
Boom.
You have been invited. And then the second one is from Floor Bingos, who wants to know with 12 teams, why are clubs playing 32 matches when 33 would be a balanced schedule other than home and aways? I feel like it's just the home and aways. They didn't want to have um, an unbalanced home and away schedule, and this was just the easiest way to facilitate that.
Yeah, I think it's weird having the what is it, 10 opponents, 3 matches, 1 opponent, 2 matches set up. I'm not crazy about that. But every single season of League One has been an experiment.
Yeah.
Um, they're trying to find I don't know, the rhyme and reason behind whatever they're doing. And I don't I'm not a huge fan of it, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, we got
I
two
would
more
much rather,
matches this year, so
yeah,
can't
I
be
would
all
much
bad.
rather have the home and away uh, be the entire season. But at the same time, that would mean that we're like 3/4 the way through the season. Wouldn't that be right? Like we're looking at some teams at 14, some teams at 16. So
Oh, if
if
you're
you'd
doing
be,
just home and aways,
yeah. So if we were
oh,
doing
we yeah,
home and aways, yeah, we'd be. I
we'd
mean,
be
we'd
over
be,
halfway. Yeah.
yeah, we'd be in the playoff stretch right now,
Mm-hmm.
just like a half a dozen weeks away from playoffs.
Yeah.
So
I don't
yeah,
want
they
that
have,
League One. Don't take that as like we want that. No, nobody wants that. More matches is better.
yeah. Wait until we have like 20 clubs in the league before you start instituting that kind of stuff.
But then I even feel like about 30 matches is about right. 30 to 32. Because you either get 15 or 16 matches at home in total.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a fair number of matches.
yeah. Which is another reason. So, random topic switch. Another reason why I fully believe that the English Championship is the funnest one to watch because there's so much at stake and they play more matches. I mean, it's a fucking dogfight, and I love it. I hated it when Aston Villa was in the championship because it was so nerve-wracking, but
Sure.
now that Villa is in the, Premier League and I can watch the championship and just enjoy every single match that I watch, yeah,
You're
I can
telling me
just sit
that
back and relax.
promotion and relegation makes things a lot more fun to watch?
Holy shit.
Whoa.
Holy shit.
Well, it's a great thing where the league is voting on it next month. Awesome. But we're saving that for next week. That's what we're
We
going to
are,
do next
yes.
week.
But back to why the schedule is the way it is. I don't know. I don't think they wanted to have as many matches as championship because I think they each play 34 matches.
That's something like
Um,
that, yeah.
so I don't think they wanted to have as many matches as championship, but at the same time, they still wanted to have some sort of a competitive balance within League One. Um, so that's just what they came up with. I don't necessarily agree with the matchups they had for who's going to be playing each other twice. Um, so I mean, for instance, uh, let me look through here really quick. Central Valley Fuego, their two match opponent is Tormenta. I would much rather. I mean, sure, that saves them travel, but at the same time, there's what, like six clubs, six, seven clubs that are all in the southeast, and
Mhm.
so they're going to be traveling east no matter what. I don't know. It's just tiny things like that. Whatever. It is what it is. I think the biggest reason for me now that I'm here rambling is just because I don't think they wanted to have as many or more matches than championship.
Championship has 34 matches.
Yeah.
So, two more than League One. But
Yeah.
bigger playoff, I think, as well, too, though. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's probably the reason, too, as well. I'd agree. But yeah, that goes through our questions on Twitter, and there is no more questions right now in the live chat.
Yeah. So we're sitting at 2 hours, folks. Man, that's 2 hours of solid entertainment for you.
About 2 hours and 10 minutes.
2 hours 10. Oof. Yeah.
One of our longer ones that was not a interview. So
Yeah.
if you feel like we did not get to your team sufficiently, we apologize. But um, once I looked down and saw we were sitting on about our usual runtime, and we were only 3 matches in,
Yeah.
we had to pick up the pace just a smidgen. So
They're when we have the guests on the show next week, they're gonna constantly be giving us the sign like wrap it up. Let's go. Let's
yeah,
go.
yep, I got a feeling that'll come.
But for all of you out there, we do put the timestamps in there so you can fast forward through everything and check out the club that you care about the most when you decide to watch it or listen to it, as well as if you want to skip through the different sections. So we try to make it as easy as possible to get through the 2 hours of our talking as much as possible.
Yeah, we hope you enjoy it
Yeah.
at least enough to continue listening and get to. I mean, we've got some takes. So again, remember if you didn't like the way that I phrased your team, it's because I hate your team, and that's it. But
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for suffering through another episode. Not suffering.
I hope you're not suffering through. I hope
Yeah.
we make it somewhat entertaining.
Better not be. Sitting on the edge of your seat,
There you
dying
go.
to listen to every next word that's coming out of our mouth
Yeah.
here on another episode of League One on the Rocks. My name is Rich. That is Brian. We'll be back next week for a mid-season special with some special guests. We will announce those as we get those confirmed and look forward to the polls and any other things that we throw up on Twitter.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.